Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is a special episode of Commander's Brew.
It's our Ixalan set review.
Hello everybody, it's time for a brand new set review. Ixalan. We're here. It's happening. We're going to say goodbye to Hour of Devastation and Amonkhet. We're going to move over to Ixalan. And Sean, I am excited.
Yeah, you're excited to draft this one for sure. And as a Commander player, there's a lot of cards in here to get excited about as well.
There is so much to get excited about with this set. You're right. I am very excited to draft this. And I haven't been so excited to draft a set in a while. Although I've been pleased and happy with the draft formats that we've seen. But this one, I'm extremely happy to I'm so stoked. I can't wait. And Commander as well. So it's going to be a bit of a laugh.
Well, if so, this is our set review. It's out of sync with our normal episodes because we just got to get this to you, right? We got to keep it coming at you. We're not going to do all of the typical Commander's Brew episode things. We're not going to play as many games. We're just going to get down to it because there's a lot of cool Commander cards. But that doesn't change that we're still brought to you by the Wizard's Tower, right? By Ultimate Guard, by you, our loyal and true patrons.
That's right. All those things are true. And in fact, we're going to get an ad from Wizard's Tower right now.
Hello there. I'm a pirate from the plane of Ixalan. I'm tired of everyone mocking us and how we talk using the growls and the R's at the end of things. We don't all talk like that. It's just some people that do. I think it's an unfair stereotype of pirates. I have 2 hands and 2 legs. Do I love treasure? Yes, but who doesn't love treasure? That's not a pirate thing. I would contest that that's an everybody thing. You know what else is an everybody thing? Magic cards. If you buy your Magic singles at the Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com, you're going to get free shipping anywhere in Canada or the US if you spend $15 or more. Why, that's a great... excuse me. Why, that's a great deal. I'm getting a little emotional there. And if you use coupon code Tower of Brews, you get an extra 5% off. Why, that's a really great... that's a really great deal. And the deals just keep getting better. You get a 3% kickback on your next order, and that'd be the best deal of all. That's a very good deal, yes. Sometimes I get a little emotional and my native accent slips through, but I want you to know that not all of us pirates talk that way. But my favorite letter of the alphabet is definitely the letter T, not R.
Okay, great. So, yes, it's Ixalan. It's set review time. We're going to talk about all the cards that we feel are only the cards that are relevant to Commander. This is a Commander show. We're not going to be talking about draft or any other formats. Although I already did talk about draft once, so I've already broken my only other rule.
We didn't set them yet.
We didn't set them yet. That's true. I got to slide in before the rules were set.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the Commander relevant cards. We're going to start with just a brief overview of the mechanics. We're going to talk about the commanders themselves, the legendary creatures, and then we'll just go by color and we'll talk about the cards we think are good. We don't give grades or anything like that. We just kind of have a little bit of a discussion, and then you can kind of land wherever you think, the card should be or whatever, how good you think they are. So let's get right into it.
Right into it.
Right away.
So first of all, the new mechanics, because they'll come up as we go. The first major new mechanic we get is Enrage. That is an effect so it's only on dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And when that creature is dealt damage, something cool happens. It's a triggered ability.
Right.
There's only 7 cards in the whole set that have Enrage, and there's maybe only 1 or 2 that are kind of Commander relevant. As an example, we're going to highlight one of them. It's Bellowing Aegisaur, 5 and a white for a 3/5 dinosaur, and its enraged trigger says whenever it's dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Big time, pump up the whole team kind of thing.
This is cool. I know you said there's only a couple that are commander relevant, but I guess I should just quickly go over what we are considering to be commander relevant. There's a lot of cards that can fit into, a niche deck here and there. Like you can make an argument for a lot of cards, obviously, but we're just the ones that like seem like they're going to be impact. They're going to replace cards that already exist, that sort of thing. Bellowing Aegisaur is one that just highlights the enrage mechanic really well. I don't think we'll see this in a ton of decks, but it is playable in some.
Yeah, I mean, without going too niche, I mean, like big swarmy token decks are common enough that I feel it's worth mentioning. But we're not going to go into like, oh, this would be excellent in Screaming Bald Guy's Tribal.
Yeah, there's only a couple cards in the set that are excellent in Screaming Bald Guy Tribal.
Yeah.
Next mechanic is that being said though, I like Enrage as a mechanic for Commander, and I would like to see it come back in future sets, and so we can get a few other cards with it, because I think it's actually strictly the mechanic. I think there's a lot of space there to design and make some cool abilities. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The next mechanic we have is Raid. It's a returning mechanic, of course, from Khans of Tarkir. Raid triggers something will happen when after you've made an attack that turn. So a creature will usually come into the battlefield and have an added ability, or even sometimes it's like a spell or something. But just to quickly show you what this is all about, Ruin Raider is 2 and a black for a 3/2. It's an orc pirate. He has Raid, which says at the beginning of your end step, if you attack with a creature this turn, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to the card's converted mana cost. So this one is just an ongoing effect. It's not necessarily just when he enters the battlefield or something. So this is what's it called? A
Bob.
Yeah, this is a Bob. Yeah, exactly. Whatever that guy's called, advisor.
I think.
What's it called?
Dark Confidant.
Advisor.
Yeah.
Just a card named Advisor. Dark Confidant ability, which we don't see a ton in Commander, just because we're usually playing with really big spells, and that's just not a great ability. But this is a good way to highlight what Raid can do, and definitely a relevant card though, for sure.
Most Raid triggers are enter the battlefield, and they're not huge, so we probably don't care about the body that's left behind. It's only these like ongoing every turn ones that are at all interesting to us for the most part.
Exactly.
Another ability that sadly doesn't really scale well with Commander is Explore. So Explore is a thing where sometimes it's triggered when a creature enters. That's the most common trigger. Or there's another way to trigger it, and I'll read what it says. For example, this is Deadeye Tracker, 1 black for a 1/1 human pirate. And for 1 and a black, tap, exile 2 target cards from an opponent's graveyard. Deadeye Tracker explores. So whenever anything explores, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, goes into your hand. If it's not a land, the creature gets a +1/+1 counter, and you get to decide if that card goes back on top or into your graveyard. So it is useful to get through some cards, a little bit of scry, a little bit of land draw maybe, but most of the time you're looking at giving a creature +1/+1 one time, and the creatures are overcosted for our format to begin with. Yeah. So like, unless you want the ability like Deadeye Tracker, the ability to exile 2 cards from an opponent's graveyard, and that would be the only reason to run something like this, and the Explore is sort of coincidental.
Yeah, as I've mentioned a few times before on some other shows, I thought it was going to be a Coiling Oracle thing when I first heard about Explore, and it sadly wasn't, because that would be better. But anyways, I don't think we're going to run into Explore a ton in Commander.
Yeah.
And finally, we have Treasure, which is we don't have a card for Treasure.
There is a Treasure token.
Yeah? Do you think
I'm sure of it. If you look up like
whatever, it's not working. Basically, Treasure is it's kind of a returning mechanic. It's basically like gold was when we briefly had gold tokens. They basically are artifacts that you tap, or the gold was you had to tap them, and they turn into men of any color. But I think Treasure, you don't have to tap them. Is that right?
It's reversed. Treasure, you do have to tap
sorry.
gold. You never did.
Right. Okay. Sorry. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and lots of things make treasure. We'll talk more about treasure as we go because you'll see there's a bunch of cards that reference having treasure tokens, things like that.
Yeah.
So those are the mechanics. Like we said, not a ton of commander relevant stuff there. I think, I think Rage, oddly enough, will be the most commander relevant, and treasure probably.
Probably treasure.
Yeah, probably treasure. Let's get into the commanders. This is the exciting part for us EDH players. Like
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna go into we're gonna get deep on these cards more so than any other ones, and we'll start right off the bat with our mono white commander, Mavrin Fiend, Dusk Apostle. And Mavrin, feel free to call him Marvin.
I'm going to call him Marvin.
Because that's what we're calling him. We think this guy's Marvin, much like Grey Merchant is Gary. Our boy Marvin here. He's a legendary vampire cleric. He's a 2/2 for 2 and a white. It says, whenever one or more non-token vampires you control attack, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. I don't think we're going to see a lot of mono white vampire decks.
No, there aren't enough mono white vampires, and if you want to do mono white tokens of some kind, I feel like we have a million better options.
Yeah, we definitely do. So this guy, as far as a commander goes, he's not super relevant, at least for the time, at least currently. Like maybe in the future sometime they'll make a ton more mono white vampires, because currently I think the actual only mono white vampires you can even get are from this set. I think otherwise any white vampire has black and now also red in it, I think. So
yeah. But like backing up Edgar Markov, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, this guy is awesome. In a vampire deck, obviously. The non-token thing makes him like not as strong as he could be, because if that just said vampires, that would be crazy.
Well, you still only get one or more anyway.
That's true. You only get one anyways.
One.
You're right. So it's always going to be one. So yeah, it's decent. Like I'd probably include this guy in my Edgar Markov deck. Yeah.
I'd invite him to my vampire parties.
Yeah, because then you're still getting another vampire token in addition to the guys that Edgar Markov is making. Plus these guys have lifelink, which is nice. Yeah, I'd probably include him in there. It's halfway decent. But this guy's definitely a 99. He's not he's not
a Gretzky.
Commander. He's a Gretzky, which is the best. So
yeah, right?
maybe we need to maybe he's more of a 98. Maybe he's more of a Sergei Berezin.
He's a Berezin.
He's a Berezin. Classic.
I'm impressed you were able to pull the 98 out.
I actually think that Sergei Berezin is 97. Now that I'm thinking about it. But anyways, that's just old NHL trivia that we don't need to get into. What do you talk about this next commander here?
Sure. The next one is Kopala, Warden of Waves. 1 blue. It's a mono blue merfolk wizard. It's a 2/2. Spells your opponents cast that target a merfolk you control cost 2 more. Abilities your opponents activate that target a merfolk you control also cost 2 more. So it's gotta be merfolk tribal, right?
Right.
That's the whole reason to run this person. You're gonna make a merfolk tribal deck. I honestly think, like, is he the best merfolk tribal commander? It's possible.
No.
You don't think?
No way. There's way better merfolk tribal commanders.
I mean, I suppose like I can see how to build this one differently. Maybe I don't know.
This is auto include in any merfolk tribal deck, certainly.
Yeah.
But I don't think you. I mean, like you can make an argument for running this as the commander. I don't think it's a bad commander.
No,
it's going to protect your merfolk pretty well, which is great.
I agree, though. I don't think it's an auto included in the 99 of a merfolk deck, but I think the true power of this card is that people are already like, well, this goes in modern merfolk in a heartbeat.
You know what? Sorry, all the cards I'm thinking of from mono blue merfolk are not mono blue. So actually, this may well be the best merfolk, the mono blue merfolk commander. Actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's good protection, but like also like if I'm being pessimistic about this here, how many people do point removal? Like it's usually wraths anyway, so like who
Yeah.
cares? You're still losing all your
It's also
merfolk.
abilities, right?
Yeah, so
Which
no
can
one's blinking
sometimes
your
be a
stuff.
thing. Can sometimes be a thing. Yeah, I mean, maybe you'd rather just run Thassa, just because it's just a better card to always have access to, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Merfolk Tribal is an interesting thing. It's a lot of, I know it's a lot of like tapping and things like that. It's like a swarmy type of deck. I'm obviously we're not talking about the modern and like whatever maybe legacy versions if there is one. We're talking pure commander here, so we're only talking one of each. Which I think you'd want your Merfolk Tribal to have another color in it, because aren't there some good ones in white? We also know there's definitely some good ones in green when it comes to this set. So I think you'd probably looking at like a Bant.
I mean, I don't know of any Bant merfolk.
Well, in what's it called? Lorwyn, right? Merfolk were white and blue.
But like for a commander, you'd have to have a Bant merfolk, or just do that thing where your commander's not.
Or you do Thrasios and
Okay.
Ishai or something like that. Or
Yeah, sure.
what's his face? The green white partner.
Um,
Because then your little merfolk can get through, right?
Sidar Kondo. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you know, we're never gonna get through this if we try to brew a deck around everybody. But suffice to say, I'm not. I don't think I'll be using this card anytime soon. And if I open it, I'm selling it to a modern player.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good play.
Next up.
Yeah.
Oh, your turn, right?
Yeah, my turn. Next is Captain Lannery Storm. This will be the last of the mono colored commanders, which seem to be more 99 cards anyways. 2 in a red for legendary human pirate, a 2/2 with haste. She says, whenever Captain Lannery Storm attacks, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap. Sacrifice this artifact. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So we won't read that text every time treasure comes up. We'll just say treasure. So just know it is the tapping one. And whenever you
in your mind, you should imagine Treasure by Bruno Mars playing.
treasure, boom, boom. Yeah. Whenever you sacrifice a treasure, Captain Lannery Storm gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So obviously this is not really meant to be a commander, other than just being an aggressive card that I think is legendary because they think it might be too good if you had 3 or 4 of these on the battlefield at the same time.
Yeah, that much treasure.
Yeah, treasure, too much of it, right? Like So, anyways, Captain Lannery Storm. I don't think we need to say too much. This isn't really a commander. I don't even know if this is relevant for EDH at all.
If I was going like all cards that generate treasure, I'm happy to run her, but she's probably going to attack and die anyway, so you get that one treasure out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, too bad, Captain Lannery Storm. I don't like. Maybe this goes in a pirate deck. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Next up, Tishana, Voice of Thunder.
If
you listened to episode 113 of the Commander's Brew, we did a whole episode on this. I think it's a great commander to build around. You have to go wide as opposed to tall to take advantage of that. But she's perhaps a bit expensive. But yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, 7 mana. Did you read her?
You know what? I think I didn't because she's still in my brain from episode 113. Yeah.
Go ahead, read her.
5, green, blue, legendary Merfolk Shaman, star, power and toughness equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size, and when she enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control.
Yep, solid. We talked about this. We talked about her a while ago. We talked about how, like, her versus Zagana, right? Prime Speaker Zagana. We're talking very similar cards here. Zagana costs 6 and will always at least draw you 1 card. Because she is a 1/1. Tishana, you don't you. Oh, I guess she still does too.
Yeah, she will always
she'll see
herself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Tishana is. It's arguable which one you like more.
I think it's just wide or tall.
Yeah, it's wide or tall, and Tishana has the no maximum hand size thing though, which I think puts her a little on the edge, but then again, she's 1 mana more, so I don't know. I like this card though. I wish it didn't cost 7.
Obviously,
like 7 is a lot. Like 6 is already a lot for a commander. 7 is like bordering on like too much, right?
7 is a lot.
So you need to like pretty much dump your hand and then get to 7, ramp it up, and then you can fill her back up again. So that's like, this isn't a commander. You're like, I don't think like her power and toughness being equal to your hand size. I don't know if that's going to be super relevant, just because like once this gets taken care of once, she costs 9, and then it's just like, I don't know, that's trouble. But for the card draw, I think she can be very, very good.
Check out episode 113 for a more detailed
Absolutely.
Brew.
Probably throw this in a couple of the Edric style decks, those style of decks where you got a ton of little unblockable guys running around. I think that's probably good in there.
Yeah.
Cool. So anyways, there's your Merfolk. There's your Merfolk commander. Next, this is interesting. Vona, Butcher of Megan. 3 white-black for a 4/4 legendary vampire knight with vigilance and lifelink. Pretty solid. And tap, pay 7 life, destroy target non-land permanent. Activate this ability only during your turn.
Interesting.
I wonder, like, maybe for other formats, the ability to do this, like, on other people's turns at instant speed, because you can still do this at instant speed. It just needs to be on your turn. So, but like real instant speed, which is anytime. Like, I guess that was too much, but I'm paying 7 life here. Like, and I can only do it once because it taps anyways. Like, I think that hurts the card a lot for me. Also, what did Megan do? Poor Megan. Vona butchers Megan.
Well, maybe this is the person where Megan gets her sausages.
What? Oh, yeah. Vona just works at the metro. She works at the grocery store. Butcher is, and then this is a typo. It actually should say 4. So Vona, butcher for Megan. Yeah.
Megan, I got a great shipment of venison in. You're gonna love it.
I am the butcher of Megan. I'm employed by her to be her butcher. So I'm private butcher.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. What do you think of this card?
Well, here's the problem. I think it's fun and everything, but like we've got other Orzhov commanders that exile creatures if you have a lot of life link, and those ones exile. This guy only destroys. I'm thinking about Uncle Karlov, and I'm thinking about what's her name? She's a little
Ailey.
I'm thinking Ailey. Those ones do Vona's job better than Vona, and they're cheaper to get on the battlefield, and arguably easier to make work.
Do you see this as a Voltron commander so that you can sort of offset that 7 life that you have to pay?
I mean, you have to be gaining a lot of life for this to be useful at all. Like Karlov gets to gain life incrementally. Vona, you have to gain gobs and gobs of it for it to matter.
Right.
And like Karlov already becomes, we just like it's in the exact same design space as 2 other way better commanders. I don't know why I would ever make Vona the head of a deck.
That so far is that's what Tishana and Vona sort of have in common at this point, right?
Yeah.
These are basically cards that we already have that are slightly different, and you could argue that Tishana is worse than Prime Speaker Zagana. And you might be right or wrong on that, but I think Vona, this is definitely worse than Karlov and Ailey.
Yeah.
I mean, Ailey requires a lot more work,
I suppose.
Right, but in Commander, it's not hard.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm a little underwhelmed by Vona, to be honest with you. I'm not excited about it. I think Vona can easily go in those decks. Again, we're looking at another 99 commander here a bit.
Right.
Also, there's no real vampire synergy. I mean, I guess you could throw this in the like drain vampire deck, but anyways. Yeah, let's move on.
Admiral Beckett Brass. This is 1 and Grixis. So 1 blue, black, red for a human pirate, 3/3. This is a pirate lord because all other pirates you control get +1/+1. And at the beginning of your end step, gain control of target non-land permanent controlled by a player who was dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. Well, I mean, if you want a pirate lord, there is none better than Admiral Beckett Brass. She's fairly cheap to cast, pumps up all your pirates. I do think that second part is a little bit tricky to get working until you realize that in Ixalan, my secret theory is that at some point pirates were actually fairies, but they just wanted to make them pirates because they thought it would be cooler. Uh, so many pirate cards are like, that's just a fairy, but it's a pirate. They're all flying around and they all like counter spells and stuff. Like there's so much overlap in the fairy.
Really?
Like, yeah,
Interesting.
like if you go to, I mean, we're not going to be able to go deep on all the pirates, but if you look at all the blue pirates, they're like, this could have easily been a fairy.
Interesting.
So many flash flying ones and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Admiral Beckett Brass because I think this is one of those cards that obviously you build around it. You build pirates around it. It's a tribal thing. But I think it like sets a challenge for you, right? Like getting 3 creatures in is hard to do on one player, right?
I mean, it's not necessarily.
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to do.
Hard, but it requires setup.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, I think it's it requires a lot of setup to be able to do it consistently.
Yeah,
like, we can get one in, no problem. It's like, okay, well, how do we do it again? There's obviously some cards out there that are going to help with it. You can either just go straight up pirate tribal and just get all your synergies that way, or you can go like stealing tribal kind of, and then like include a lot of pirates in it. I don't know. I think it's fun. I like that pirates are like kind of staked now in Grixis. We have another good Grixis commander here. A lot of good Grixis commanders, I gotta say.
Yeah, strong set of colors.
Yeah, definitely. So I think this card's good. I like that it's a challenge. You're not going to be able to do that super easy, but I like that about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
And if you don't want pirates,
we've got dinosaurs. Gishath, Sun's Avatar. 5 red, green, white. Naya colors here. We're looking at 8 for this commander. It's a legendary dinosaur avatar. And Gishath has Trample, Vigilance, and Haste. And it's a 7/6. So definitely something to be, not to be sneezed at. As they say. Whenever Gishath Sun's Avatar deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library, put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is exciting. This is cool. It's cool to see the new tribe getting some big time support here with like a big commander. Again, 8 mana is so much. But it has haste, so like that's sort of good.
It's got that crucial 7 power.
And don't absolutely, yeah, and don't underestimate vigilance. Vigilance is really good in Commander. I love the creature, the stats. Again, I wish it was a little cheaper, but you get a lot for what you're paying for. It's just that, of course, the question of dinosaur tribal comes up, and it's like, well, there are no dinosaurs outside of Ixalan.
Well, they did retro.
Have they announced which? Like, has that been publicized? I know they said they were going to do it.
I feel like they did. Someone was saying something, but I don't know if they were like speaking as if they made an assumption or if they knew for sure. Searching all creature types dinosaur, and so far.
Okay, it says here 14 creatures have been errated to be dinosaurs.
Okay, only 14.
Oh yeah, okay. Do you want me to read them all real quick? I got it right here.
I mean, so that's too many, I think.
Well, like there's a lot. Mostly, it's like things that definitely look like they're dinosaurs. So I like that. Like Deathmist Raptor, Fungosaur. Anything with a saur in it is now a dinosaur. Putrid Raptor, Allosaurus. Things like that. So it's all. Basically, anything that sounds like it's a dinosaur is now a dinosaur.
And there's 38 in Ixalan.
Right.
38 dinosaurs. And there's always changelings, too. So, like, I think you could do it. I think there's mathematically enough to, like, actually make this deck. It's just, like, do you want all those dinosaurs?
Exactly. Yeah. Are they actually worth it?
I mean, we got one more set from Ixalan coming out.
True. I like it. I like it. It feels very Naya also. I like the tribal aspect to it. I think it's a big time fun commander. A lot of ramp is going to be needed for this deck though, because if you're going to try and get Gishath and get them to stick, you're gonna need the mana to get there.
Yeah. Keep this guy in mind when we get to our blue section, I think.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's all the legendaries. That's all the legendary commanders anyway. Now planeswalkers are all legendary, but we'll deal with them in a separate place because they cannot be your commanders.
We also see a few legendary lands pop up in this.
That's true.
In this, that set.
Well, let's go there then. Let's go. There's a few cards that transform into legendary lands. It really is flavorful of like, these people searching for like lost cities and things, and then they find them. And some of these cards are functional reprints of crazy good cards that are either very expensive for our budget or for anyone's budget in some cases, but also just really good cards to have that we don't necessarily need early anyway. So let's talk about.
Yeah, sorry. These are arguably the most exciting cards, I think, of the set for Commander players outside of the Commanders themselves.
Yeah, these are the coolest, and we've highlighted a few here. The one that's got the most attention right now is called the Growing Rights of Itlimoc. 2 and a green for a legendary enchantment. When Growing Rights of Itlimoc enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card and put it into your hand. The rest go on the bottom in any order. At the beginning of the end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, which isn't that hard to do, you get Gaia's Cradle, right?
You actually get Itlimoc, Cradle of the Sun.
Yeah. But it's Gaia's Cradle, so you tap to add green, or you tap to add green for each creature you control.
It's actually a better Gaia's Cradle because it taps to add just green, whereas a Gaia's Cradle doesn't even do that. And and you know what's interesting? Transform, there it is. Bam! Oh, that was fun, little animation. Yeah, Itlimoc. And okay, so we got to talk about this briefly. It's a better Gaia's Cradle. You got to do some work to get there, but also it's got like this crazy new layout. Like it's almost, I feel like this is what they did instead of like expeditions for this one.
Yes, that is the rumor. I think that's confirmed. I think they were going to make this, but they're like, we're going to ease off on expeditions or whatever. And
I think that's totally fine. I'm very into that.
Doesn't it look like a different board game?
It does. It does not look like a Magic card.
Yeah,
not at all. In fact, like it doesn't even. I guess it doesn't need one of those color things. It's got a little thing in the top left, a little like icon up there. I guess that's to let you know it's a flip card. It's in the middle. Yeah. It's strange. I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty nice, and I think it's definitely flavorful because it looks like it's written on an old treasure map and all this.
Yeah.
And in general, I'm very very pro on these cards. I think they're going to be very good for players. I think it's great. I love it.
Oh man, I hope I get a couple of these for sure.
Price wise, we're looking at. Yeah, you're looking at $20 for this card basically.
It's pre-selling for $20. I'm sure that'll go down.
Yeah, people are gonna open them. That's not on a that's a rare. Like these are not mythics, so I think we'll see a fair amount of these. But I think like basically every Commander player wants one of these at least.
Yeah, I mean it's way cheaper than the $250 price tag on Gaia's Cradle.
Absolutely. Next in this sort of cycle, we've got Dowsing Dagger, which is an equipment. So it's a two generic mana for an equipment. When Dowsing Dagger enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2/0/2 green plant creature tokens with Defender. Equipped creature gets +2/+1. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may transform Dowsing Dagger, and you can equip it for 2. So it starts off as you pay 2, you equip it for 2. If it gives +2/+1, which is it's not bad. And gives your opponents 2 things. But if you hit, it turns into Lost Veil, which is a land. And it says tap, add 3 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. So it basically becomes a Gilded Lotus.
Very nice. Gilded Lotus is getting a bit out of our price range. But like, especially since you don't have to pay 5 up front. You only pay 2. I mean, I guess you have to pay 4 minimum between the equip.
Yeah.
But again, you got to do a little bit of work. It's not as easy to get, but like, man, you don't have to do that much work. There are many, many decks where this is, you can always get someone through.
And because of this, though, there is that thing of like, can these replace lands? Can we just include these as a land? It's like, well, no, of course not.
That's interesting.
I think you definitely can't, because most of them, they all have a casting cost, and there you go, bam, right away. You can't just replace lands with something that has a casting cost. It's not.
But like maybe you could replace one.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you should. I think you might be in trouble if you did that, right? Like,
I think if you did one, you'd probably be fine. I wouldn't do more than one.
I mean, do you replace, mana rocks with lands? One for one like that?
I don't know. Like I don't. If I add a mana rock to a deck, I take out a mana rock.
No, on land, I mean. Like if you were gonna add something like I don't know, Gilded Lotus, would you? It's like, oh, I'll add a Gilded Lotus and I'll take out a basic land.
I would take out a different mana rock.
Right. So you wouldn't replace a land with it. So you wouldn't do that with these either, because you basically have to do the same thing. It's even more work, actually.
This is a tough case because it turns into a mana generating land.
But I think you should treat
land
it,
already does.
What I'm saying is I think you should treat it like you treat mana rocks, right? Treat it as if you treat it as you treat those things, as opposed to treating it as you treat like a very good land, which is what it turns into.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
take out a mana rock for it.
Yeah, treat it as ramp, as opposed to replacing a land, I think.
Yeah.
What's up next? Another one.
Cool. Thaumatic Compass, 2 generic for an artifact, and then it basically becomes, I think, is it? There's an artifact that already does this. 3 tap, search your library for a basic, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. But the key difference here is at the beginning of your end step, if you control 7 or more lands, you transform it. In our format, you get to 7 lands fairly regularly.
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot. And then you basically get Maze of Ith. It's called Spires of Urazka. It adds colorless if you want, or tap to untap target attacking creature on opponent controls and remove it from combat.
This is not strictly Maze of Ith, because this does tap for colorless, which Maze of Ith does not. Also, though, this cannot untap your own creatures.
That's
which
true.
Maze of Ith can do to save your, save your own creatures from stuff. Which some decks just run Maze of Ith just to do that, which I think is totally fine. So Spires is a little bit different, but still very good. Obviously, still something you're pretty happy to see when you're facing a Voltron commander, especially.
Yeah.
Next, we've got Primal Amulet, which is 4 mana for an artifact. It says instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, which is like
pretty good.
That's pretty sweet. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a charge counter on Primal Amulet. Then, if there are 4 or more charge counters on it, you may remove those counters and transform it into Primal Wellspring, which is a land. And it says tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. When that mana is spent to cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
This is spicy.
This is very spicy. This is something. This is like, I want to put this in Epic Experiment for sure.
Oh my gosh. I want to put this in any is it type of deck that just casts a bunch of spells.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It just and like arguably if you have more, I mean, because you have to cast 4 spells to transform it, right? Because you got to get charge counters. So, I mean, there's a number somewhere, but like, I don't care what my deck's purpose is. If I have more than, I don't know what that number is, 10, more than 12 instants or sorceries, this is probably going in.
Oh, I mean, I think you probably want a few more than that. But yes, I see what you're saying, for sure. You got a heavy instant sorcery spells deck. This is an auto include, I think.
Auto.
And this one's a little cheaper. This one's only around $2.
Yeah.
So that's relevant. Primal Wellspring looks good to me. And the great thing about it is that you don't have to, it's not like you have to use the mana for instant and sorceries. You can just use it for anything, but it's that if you do, you get that added bonus, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the ones that flip that we figured are really worth talking about. There's a few more. This is a black one, there's a white one, but their abilities are a little bit less commander relevant, so we won't talk about those.
Yeah, we're not going to go in. Like I said, we would be bogged down forever if we told you, like, the good deck that every one of these could go to. Because there's a home for all of them.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, we just can't do that.
Right, so let's get on into some more of the colorless stuff here.
Sure. Colorless cards can go on any commander deck, regardless of identity, which is what makes them so great. First up is Sentinel Totem, one generic for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you get to scry 1, and then you can tap to exile Sentinel Totem, exile all cards from all graveyards. There you go, another one of these effects. These are very useful.
Yeah, you got to run these effects. I think it's I think this one has a little bit of a downside in that you have to exile it, so it's tough to bring back if you ever want to do it again. But of course, it has the very big upside of exiling all cards from all graveyards. And the scry one's nice too. So
yeah,
solid.
And it comes down for 1 mana, and it does its job right away. You don't need to wait a turn. You don't need to put even more mana into it. It's just 1 mana, exile all graveyards.
Yeah, good call. Gotta run Graveyard Hate. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we got Sorceress, not Sorcerers. Sorceress Spyglass. It's 2 generic for an artifact. As Sorceress Spyglass enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So it's like, I think it's a pretty specific thing for Commander. I don't know if this will become a ubiquitous card. In fact, I really don't think it will. But it's basically Pithing Needle, which is Commander playable, but kind of better a little bit. Like, you get to look at the player's hand, which is like, okay, that's fine. But that's just a little bonus. And then you don't have to name something else in their hand. You can just name anything, and then it just basically is a Pithing Needle at that point.
It's an important distinction. It would be useless if you had to name a card in their hand.
Yeah, it would be terrible. So, if you run Pithing Needle because you're, in your meta, there's a couple of cards that just run away with it, or you've got someone who plays a commander that has some really powerful activated abilities. We talked about Karlov earlier. That'd be a good one. Ailey, same thing. These are actually really good hate cards against those types of commanders. So if that's a thing that's running your meta a lot, you might want to consider this card. Yeah, that's about it.
Great. And then because Ixalan is a tribal set, we've got a couple of cards that boost general tribal synergies. The C17 decks were all tribal as well, so there's a lot of those going around. Some of the old colorless tribal support cards are getting up there in price, so maybe they're out of your price range. But we got a few new options here. One of them is Vanquisher's Banner. It's 5 mana for an artifact, and then when it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, and whenever you cast a creature of that type, you get to draw a card.
This is my actually first time seeing this was today.
Yeah.
I thought I'd looked over all of the spoilers, right when they first dropped, but I guess that somehow this one slipped by me. I wish it wasn't 5 mana, but at the same time, I think I'm going to put this in the tribal decks that don't draw cards very easily. I just changed my Olivia Voldaren Vampires deck into an Edgar Markov deck, and I think Vanquisher's Banner is like a must-have card in that. It pumps them all. Plus, red, black, and white don't draw cards so easily. So, this is going to be something I think I'm going to throw in there.
Big time. I
think I'll replace the Staff of Nin with this card, which is
big time. You'll get way more cards out of this than Staff of Nin.
Yeah, huge upgrade.
Yeah, huge.
Another one we have here is Pillar of Origins. It's 2 mana for an artifact. As Pillar of Origins enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. I love that sentence when it comes to tribal decks. Tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type. Same thing. I think in those colors that I just mentioned, Mardu, it's tough to get that ramp. And honestly, this deck is mostly creatures, so I'm happy to include Pillar of Origins. It's pretty much always going to help me.
Yeah, right. Like, it's competing with a lot of tough. Like, I mean, it's already like, if you have a 2-color deck, it's the same as a Signet, but it's more limited, right? And if you run a ton of colors, then like, great, that's probably going to be useful. Like, for Dragons, probably really loves this because you can just add it for all those things. Yeah, I think you have to take a look at your deck's breakdown, how many colors, and then decide for yourself.
How many colors, how many creatures? I'm with you, Sean. I think 2 or less, you're not running this card, obviously, and I think 3. I think it depends on what color combination you're working with. Stuff that has a harder time ramping, I think you will include this. Obviously it has to be creature heavy, or otherwise you're not running this card. But yeah, 4 or more, I think this is a good one to have.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's go to some colors.
Yeah, let's go to some colors. Let's start off with white.
Great.
Go ahead. You're up.
Ashes of the Abhorrent. 1 and a white for an enchantment. and it says that players can't cast spells from graveyards or activate abilities from cards in graveyards. Whenever a creature dies, you gain 1 life. So there you go. It really shuts down, if your meta just abuses the graveyard. We got that new totem that exiles graveyards. We got Ashes of the Abhorrent that makes people not mess around with the graveyard. Useful in a lot of metas.
A lot of metas. This is a different kind of graveyard hate. People can still target cards in graveyards and things like that. So they can still reanimate cards, but they can't do like flashback. They can't Carador. You can't do Carador from the graveyard with Ashes of the Abhorrent. Even if this was just whenever a creature dies, you gain 1 life. That's worth it in certain decks. Like
Yep.
I think that's pretty good in Karlov, and Karlov doesn't mind a little graveyard hate. So
there you go.
There you go. Axis of Immortality is next. 4 white for an enchantment. This is a mythic. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have 2 target players exchange life totals. This is a lot of fun. This can be a political card. This can also just be a card that just keeps you as the highest life total at all times.
Yeah, but then everyone's coming at you only.
That's fine. Hopefully you've got stuff, but then you can move it around, right? So it's like, okay, people are attacking me too much. Okay, let's move it over to this next guy. Now he has 40 life, and we all have 20 or whatever.
Anybody who brings me below their life total gets that life total.
This looks like also the moment for Magic the Gathering, The Bachelor. Like where he's
about to give the rose.
He looks like he's going to give this a huge staff that's also a rose.
Oh, I know what's happening. He's pointing that staff at 2 people. One of them is the life rose and one of them is a death rose. And that's how the life is trading.
Wow, you're right.
It's like awful spin the bottle.
This is the worst spin the bottle and therefore the worst season of The Bachelor you've ever seen also. Because not only does he send the women home who don't get the rose, they'd also die.
Oh,
that
no.
sucks.
Oh, no.
That's terrible.
I mean, I know she was kind of annoying, but I didn't want her to die.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you get, David Blaine. Thanks very much. Okay.
David Blaine?
The art does look like David Blaine quite a bit.
Oh my God, it's so David Blaine.
Isn't his arm look oddly large also? The one that's holding
he
up
looks
that
like
thing?
he's got a bit of a buff right arm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's from lifting that weird rose staff thing.
Yeah, for all we know, he has to hold it in the air for like a half hour for this to work.
Before it works, yeah. Well, you got to wait till your upkeep comes around. That can be a long time in Commander.
In Commander, man, go get a pop.
Yeah.
Go to the fridge.
Go get a pop, dude.
Just hit F8 and get out of
here. Cool. What's up next?
Next up, I just want to bring this up. This is Bishop of Rebirth, 3 white. It has Vigilance. It's 3/4. It's a vampire cleric. Whenever Bishop of Rebirth attacks, you may return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Just a reminder that we are so lucky to have Sun Titan. Like, this is so much worse than Sun Titan on every single axis, but this is where Magic is these days. Those Sun Titans, man. If you don't have them, get them.
It does cost 1 less than Sun Titan, so
yep, and you get about half the power and toughness.
Yes, you do. About half the power and toughness. Only creatures. Yeah.
Not on enter the battlefield. Only on attack.
But like, still worth it in a lot of decks, right? Like, you probably still would run this in a lot of stuff.
I just don't know, like, what are the chances it survives that attack?
True. That's definitely that's definitely something to think about. But I think it's, you're right. You know what? You don't get that ETB, which is like so good.
So good.
Anyways, Bishop of Rebirth, you'll forever be known as crappy Sun Titan.
What's a bad version of the sun? I don't know, Sunburn Titan.
Sunburn Titan? Sun Tiny. Sun Tiny. Okay.
The Tinies? Not that, because we have another Tiny coming up.
Oh yeah, we do. Oh, I actually took that one out.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not gonna talk, but there is an Inferno Tiny.
There is an Inferno Tiny.
Tiny.
Now I wish I left it in because we have a fun name for them.
Oh my God. Prime Tiny.
Prime Tiny. Next up, we have Settle the Wreckage, which is 2 and 2 white for an instant. That says exile all attacking creatures target player controls. That player may search his or her library for that many basic land cards, put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle his or her library. Obviously, there's some pretty obvious uses for this card. Very good at totally ruining someone's huge attack. But also, Sean, you pointed out a good use for this card on Twitter right when it dropped. And what's that?
If you're running a mono white deck, the chances are you're running a lot of tokens and you have a hard time ramping. But if you don't mind attacking with like 5 or 6 tokens you don't care about, even little creatures, you cast this, exile them all, and you get to put 5 or 6 planes out onto the battlefield.
Yeah, that can be that's a real possibility with this card.
And like if you already have Emiria's Shepherd on the battlefield and you just go fetch up 7 planes, it's just like, well, Here you go, everybody.
Yeah, that's very, very good. And even like we were saying, Boros has a hard time.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like you get that many basic lands. They don't have to all be the same basic land. It's not like you can only get plains. Like you can get plains and mountains. So, I mean, obviously, I think that's not what you'd think of when you saw this right away, or that may not even be it may only be a token thing. Like you may only really want to do that with tokens. I think that's probably true. But either way, I think it gives the card some added flexibility, which I think makes it very commander relevant.
Yeah, sometimes our creatures just get outclassed and like this creature's basically useless now, so I might as well turn it into a land.
Yeah, ramp it up.
Yeah.
And you only need 4 to even do it, so that's nice.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next we got Tocatli Honor Guard. 1 and a white, human soldier, 1/3. Creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. Now that's a hate bear if I ever did see.
Yeah, that's a pure Torpor Orb there on a creature. I don't see Torpor Orb run very often in Commander, and I think it's because everyone's just afraid to turn off their own ETB abilities because ETB abilities are so good. We don't want to ever stop ourselves from getting them. But there are definitely some decks where it's like, oh, I've really only got like 3 or 4 ETB abilities here. In which case, like if you're in these colors, it just because it stops some very powerful things from happening, it might be worth running this or Torpor Orb. Obviously Torpor Orb I think is a bit better just because it's an artifact. It's a little harder to deal with. But I like this card. If you're running any kind of hate bear things, this might even just be a nice thing to run in soldiers, because she is a human soldier. Just as that added value for turning off some big abilities.
Right.
Like we're not like you're thinking when a creature enters the battlefield, you're thinking of an ETB ability. But there's also things like aura shards, for example. Like a creature entering the battlefield causes that ability to trigger. Well, now it doesn't, so that just shuts off anything that also does that. So these cards do a lot of work, and we don't see that many, at least in our meta and games we've played in at GPs and stuff. I don't even think I've ever seen a single Torpor Orb.
A lot of infinite combos involve creatures blinking in and out infinite time, so it'll stop all of those too.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Definitely, I mean, maybe meta dependent, but like definitely worth considering.
Definitely worth considering.
Cool. What do we got next?
Next, we have Wakening Sun's Avatar. Wakening Sun's Avatar is 5 and 3 white, so 8 in total for a dinosaur avatar. It's a creature. 7/7, huge. This is a mythic. When Wakening Sun's Avatar enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, destroy all non-dinosaur creatures. So it's a big wrath that leaves you with a huge 7/7. So, what's I thinking of? Phyrexian No, not Reclamation. Phyrexian. What's the
Rebirth?
Rebirth. That's it. Thank you. That is a card that costs 6, which is obviously a little better, and will leave you with a creature equal to the number of creatures you destroyed.
Right.
I think that is a better card because you'll often get it to be at least like 5 or 6 power toughness. But this guy's good for like a big creature deck though too, right? Like you can get this guy out with Mael or something like that. And oh no, it's only you cast it. You have to cast it. Well, maybe it's not that great then. It's okay. It leaves you with a 7/7, which is decent.
I mean, yeah, like how many wraths do you want? Is this another one? If you're all dinosaurs, sure. If not, probably not.
Yeah, good call.
Cool. Next, we're going to move on to the blue cards. remember, I wanted you to remember that dinosaur commander for the blue section.
Right.
This is why. Arcane adaptation. 2 and a blue. Enchantment. As arcane adaptation enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So, man, if you could get blue in that dinosaur's deck and do this, that would be so rad. But unfortunately, I mean, it's just when they do this, I'm sure it would be too powerful otherwise, I'm sure, because then you just like basically like one hit and it's like, oh, all the Eldrazi lords have just come out to the battlefield. Sure. Like that, I guess, is unfair. But like when they do this to us, they put it in the exact same set and it's just like so close. It's almost as if that dinosaur is sticking its tongue out at us or arcane adaptation vice versa. Yeah. I don't like it. It's so aggravatingly near. Like I can taste it, but it's not there.
So this is a better version of Xenograph.
Yeah.
Right? Because Xenograph doesn't affect cards
that are like Xenograph only affects cards you control.
Yes, exactly. Arcane adaptation is ones you control as well as stuff that you don't own. So it's more like Conspiracy, which is a black card. So this is the first time we're seeing Conspiracy basically reprinted in blue. So this is a cool card. I think this is going to be good for tribal decks because, like, you'll a lot of times include a card here and there that will be off your tribe a little bit, and if you just throw one of these guys in, all of a sudden things look good. And just look back on a couple of our episodes, the number of times we've said to use Conspiracy, because sometimes it can be the key to a really powerful interaction in your deck and can be really, really good. Okay, what else? Next, in blue, we have Deadeye Quartermaster, 3 and a blue. For an uncommon 2/2 human pirate. It says, when Dead-Eyed Quartermaster enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment or vehicle card, reveal it, put in your hand, shuffle your library. We always like tutors, especially tutors on creatures that ETB. That's great because you can bounce them, we can blink them, and get added value there. This one's only for equipment or vehicles, but there's more vehicles being printed in Ixalan. There's some
big surprise.
We've already seen a really great piece of equipment. So yeah, I mean, this gets you boots, this gets you greaves, this gets you what's the mana rock you like as a vehicle? Cultivator's Caravan.
Cultivator's Caravan
can get you some of that stuff. So I think this is just a nice inclusion. I think you're probably not going to run it outside of an equipment deck or a vehicle deck, obviously, or a pirate deck. I don't see it being run too much outside of that, but you could, and I think make a decent case for it.
Yeah. Next up, we're talking about Fleet Swallower. 5 blue for a fish.
Creature. Fish.
It's a 6/6, and it says whenever Fleet Swallower attacks, target player puts the top half of his or her library rounded up into his or her graveyard. That's Traumatize on a stick.
Yep.
It's very expensive. But it's only when you attack. It doesn't have to survive attack, and it doesn't matter where you point it. It doesn't have to be the person you're attacking. If you really wanted to, it could be yourself if you plan on doing all kinds of graveyard shenanigans of your own. Mm-hmm. I think that's just for decks that care about milling, this works amazingly with that. And I would like to remind you that in Standard, our Devastation gave us Fraying Sanity. So, like, there's a possibility to fray into this, and that's game.
Yeah, Fraying Sanity is... Oops, I spelt sanity wrong. Fraying Sanity is deadly with this card because it's that you put the top X cards of their library into their graveyard, where X is the number of cards put into the graveyard. So it's just a kill.
Yeah,
essentially, it's just a kill with.
As soon as they got to draw a card, they dead.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a nice little 1-2 punch. I love this card. I love big, the continuing tradition in Magic of big sea monsters, and
yes.
I like this take on it. I think it's really, really fun, and I love that it's just creature fish.
I know a lot of people will be disappointed it's not a Kraken, Leviathan, or Octopus, though.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But you know what, man? Sometimes there's big fish.
Yeah, that's true too.
There's big fish that need frying, and this guy's one of them.
He needs frying big time.
He looks kind of like a punk fish. Like
Punkfish?
there's something about like his hair, the way his hair is. It looks like
Oh yeah.
it looks kind of like the guy from. I mean, he's not really a punk, but the guy from Prodigy.
Okay.
I'm
he
going
does
real
look like
deep
him.
here. I'm going real deep on this one. He looks kind of
Oi.
like Buddy from Prodigy.
Oi, your library. Bin half of it.
Being out of your library, mate. I'm a fleet swallower. Twisted fleet swallower. There you go. That's what this guy's all about now for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What else we got next? We got Herald of Secret Streams. Woohoo, Secret Streams. Twitch.tv, Secret Streams. Shh, don't give out this link. It's a secret stream.
Yeah, right.
3 and a blue for Merfolk Warrior. It's 2/3. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them can't be blocked. I mean, this is a deadly card in, what's his face there? Simic. Guy who got turned into, why can't I remember his name?
Azuri.
Azuri, thank you. Yeah,
Just a ton of decks. There's lots of decks where this guy does huge work.
He can just end the game. And literally you can have all your creatures with +1/+1 counters on them, and then everyone's like, ha ha ha, I've got lots of death touch blockers. You can't do anything. And then you just drop this guy and then that's it. It's over.
Secret streams.
Secret streams. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's a secret stream. He's the funny thing is he's the herald of secret streams, so he's just coming out and telling everyone about them, right?
Yeah, right.
He's like, hey, it's me, the herald of secret streams. I'll show you it. It's like, well, it's not a secret anymore, is it, Herald? Maybe his name is just Herald. Maybe that's all it is.
Yeah.
Maybe his name's just Herald. Herald, stop telling everyone about the stream. It's secret.
I'm just so proud of these streams, guys.
I just think they're so good. I gotta tell everyone about them. No, Harold, they're secret for a reason.
Man, it's behind the waterfall. You go in behind the waterfall.
There's 2 doors on your left. You go past those 2 doors, and there's a closet. And actually, the closet is the door. It's like, no, Harold, go tell them all our secrets. You can't have everybody in this stream. Anyways, so yeah, Harold's secret streams.
And Dylan is going out with Janine.
No, Harold, those are very big secrets. Those are personal secrets. Harold, you can't tell anything to this guy. He's a Herald.
One more blue card.
One more blue
card. This is a counter spell. It takes a lot for a new counter spell to be, worthy of our attention in Commander. I think that we have so many of them, but I think this one is. It's a 3 blue for an instant counter target spell. That's very expensive. However, create X colorless treasure artifact tokens, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. And treasure tokens, as we know, ramp you later. So, I think what you're paying extra for is worth it, because you're going to, it's a tough call, because maybe you counter something that costs 4 and that sucks. But am I pie in the sky here? Am I imagining getting like 6 off of this?
Well, if you think about it, like if you counter something for 4, that means you only countered it for 1 mana, really. You immediately get that, but you immediately get that mana back, right?
Yeah.
If it gets countered, it's like, oh, now I've got 4 mana open for my next counter spell. So actually, I think you're right in saying that this card is actually really worthy of taking a look. So for example, I've talked about it a lot in the show. I've got a Ifara, sort of permission-y style deck. Lots of counter spells in there, and Spell Swindle would be great in that deck, because if you do manage to counter something that's more, you're gaining mana that way. But you're also it's kind of like better rewind, kind of. Is it better? Yeah, because you can get more from it. So you counter it, you'll get mana back, and then you're able to cast your next counter spell if they try and do something else, right?
Yeah, the like rewind will always give you 4, maybe 5 if you have like a couple of lands that are worth more. But like this could give you a lot.
Yeah, this could give you a whole lot, right? Exactly. Yeah. You counter something big, you counter an 8 mana spell, you're laughing.
In their face,
and becomes
because their spell was countered.
Yeah, it becomes a free counter spell, which I think is worth talking about anytime those come up.
Yeah.
Yep, Spell Swindle, not too bad.
Not too shabs.
That's our final blue spell. First of all, we didn't say anything, but how are we looking for these colors? I actually think there's some really cool stuff in here. I'm so far so good on blue and white.
Yeah, a couple, there's a lot of interesting ones here. So far, Spell Swindle is my most exciting one. I think that's one I'm the most excited about.
Yeah, I think. I'm basically with you on that so far.
Okay.
Let's get into black.
Black cards.
Boneyard.
Okay, you're up.
Yeah, Boneyard Parlay. This is a mythic 5. I've got 3 mythics so far. We should keep a running count of who gets the most mythics. Who gets to read them. So far, I'm on 3. Boneyard Parlay is 5 and 2 black for sorcery. It says exile up to 5 target creature cards from graveyards. So that's anyone's graveyard. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put all cards from the pile of your choice onto the battlefield under your control and the rest into their owner's graveyards. So if there's one creature you really want, you're not going to get it.
What do you mean? No, you just...
Oh, no, you will. Sorry, you will always get it, but you might spend 7 mana for it.
Yeah.
But I think, as we all know with Fact or Fiction, a lot of times it's just like too hard to call, so they go even. They don't know what you want. They don't know what's in your hand. They'll give you a decent choice. I think it's...
I would be surprised if there wasn't a few juicy targets in all graveyards.
Oh, I agree, especially at this point in the game where you're spending 7 mana for the spell. It's worth noting that Ever After is a very similar spell, but it's cost 6, and it's only creatures from your graveyard.
Right.
So you're spending that extra mana. You're getting possibly more than 2, and you're getting it from all graveyards. So I think, this is pretty good.
I think this is a fine card. If I'm doing a lot of graveyard shenanigans, I'm sure I would want this card.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It does cost a lot. It's tough to say. Yeah, I think it's I don't know. It's weird because sometimes you're just looking around and sometimes there aren't things in graveyards, and then this card you're just waiting on this card to be good.
It does start to get really bad if there's really only 3 awesome targets, and you're like, I guess I'll pick these 2 other cards too. So they know to split up those 2 lame ones, and it's really a 1 versus 2 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the potential for it to be awful is very large.
Yeah. And it's basically 2 more than any of the other spells that just get you 1. I think the fact that this will mostly get you 2, meaning the one you really want, and then just whatever, some other thrown in crappy creature. I think that means it's... I don't know. I don't know if it's better or not. I think it's probably not better than something like Beacon of Unrest, for example.
Yeah, because Beacon also comes back.
Exactly.
Right? This thing's gone.
Yeah, it's questionable. I don't know. I think you really need to go hard Reanimator if you want this card.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
We got Dire Fleet Ravager. Here's my first mythic, I think. I don't remember. 3 black for an orc, pirate, wizard. This guy's 4/4, menace and death touch. It's a decent body for what you're paying. When Dire Fleet Ravager enters the battlefield, each player loses 1/3 of his or her life rounded up. Weird. We've never measured 1/3 of life before, I don't think. That's just if you're the kind of deck that wants that to happen, right? I'm still thinking about my Queen Marchesa make the game go faster deck. This guy has a great home there, as long as he doesn't come out as a $20 standard card.
Right. Just in case you're wondering, right off the bat in EDH, if you cast this guy while everyone is still at 40 life, everyone will lose 13.3 repeated life. So round it up, that's 14. So you will lose 14 life if what you're getting hit with is 40. If you start at 40 there, so that's pretty good. But you also get hit by it. It's all players, each player rather. So that includes you. Just in case. I think this lives in pretty specific decks, but it's just a fun ability we haven't seen before, right? Okay, Heartless Pillage is our next one. 2 and a black for a sorcery that says target opponent discards 2 cards, and it has Raid. If you attacked with a creature this turn, create a colorless treasure artifact token. Now you might be asking, hey, I don't really think this sounds like an EDH relevant card. Well, I'll tell you exactly why it is, or why it is especially irrelevant, because this is a target opponent discards 2 cards, and it does not even have a bald guy on it, nor is he screaming, that so far as we can tell. There's an arm and 2 boots on this card, No screaming bald guys to be seen.
I am offended that they showed us body parts that are as far away from the head as possible.
2 of them. There's 2 feet.
Wizards, you're killing me here. Like, this is supposed to be... I mean, let's go back to the Dire Fleet Ravager. Is this our best screaming bald guy so far?
I think so. That's a screaming bald guy. Yep, he goes right in screaming bald guy tribal. Definitely he does. I actually really like him as a screaming bald guy. This is great. What's that smoke coming out of his hands? By the way, we're going back to Dire Fleet Ravager here. What's going on with him? Weird.
I think the Dire Fleet, there's a couple cards that are Dire Fleet whatever.
Yeah.
I think the Dire Fleet is like a ghost ship. I think they're like, it's like a fleet of pirates who were like doomed to like sail the seas forever or something like that.
I wonder if it's Admiral Beckett Brass's ship.
Ooh.
Maybe she controls the Dire Fleet, or maybe that's their enemy fleet. Who knows? Maybe if someone read the story, they would know. Anyways, Heartless Pillage. Can't believe there's not a screaming bald guy in this card. This gets an F from us, even though we don't rate the cards.
We don't rate cards normally, except this one with an F.
With a strong F. All right, what do we got after this?
Okay, cool. Raider's Wake. Here's a card with raid that's not too bad. 3 and a black for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life. And then the raid is, at the beginning of your end step, if you attacked with a creature this turn, target opponent discards a card. So, you know, if you already want Liliana's Caress or those cards that, you know, punish people for discarding cards, this is a nice addition to it. There's only a couple of effects like this, and I think those decks will want another copy, and here it is.
And actually, some of those cards are like kind of pricey, right? Like those cards are up and around $8 to $10, I think, some of them.
Really?
Maybe not that much, but at least they're getting up there. They're more than $5 for sure. Revel in Riches is next. 4 and a black for an enchantment that says whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game.
Wow.
So an alternate win con here. It comes like really complete. Like the fun thing about this card, the good thing about this card is that it doesn't really require that much else from you other than killing creatures, right? Like, and which is this thing that you want to have happen anyways, especially in Commander. So whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you create another one, and then you just win if you kill 10 creatures, basically. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, play 1 Wrath. Maybe that's a win on your upkeep.
Maybe that's a win, right? They have to deal with all your treasure tokens, or at least a couple.
Yeah.
I think this is what would make something like Treasure Tribal possible.
Yeah, I don't even think you need to have the treasure assist.
Don't.
I honestly think like creatures will die.
You'd put this in a pirate deck just because now a lot of pirates deal with treasure tokens, but you're right. Creatures die. This can just be tossed into a kill all creatures deck. I don't know. Is that a thing?
And even if you didn't like, I kind of almost wonder what it would be like if it didn't have the win con on there. Because if it didn't have the win con, then it's going to draw a ton of attention. But if it didn't have it, it would be like, it's kind of like that counterspell idea. It's like, okay, my Wrath costs 6 mana, but I get more than 6 mana back by casting it. So like, but unfortunately at that point you're like, well, I shouldn't spend this mana because I'm going to win.
Right.
But it's almost more tempting to just kind of go storm with it and just keep using the things to do more things.
Yeah, that's true. Revel in Riches. It's a cool card, no doubt.
No doubt.
I'd like to see some people try and make this work. And the thing is, you don't really have to work hard, as we were saying. What's next?
Next we got red cards.
Ooh, red, nice.
Yeah. So we're gonna put it. Let's go to this one here. We're gonna.
Oh, let's just go to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. We gotta cut a couple. So some of them are just. I was gonna talk about a card that's just a worse version of cards we already have. Why bother? Captivating Crew, 3 and a red for a 4/3 human pirate. 3 and a red. Gain control of target creature and opponent controls until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. If you have any kind of sack outlet, this is basically just grab a creature, attack with it, and then murder it. No problem.
Yeah, it's really cool. The repeated threaten effect is even in Commander, I think that's pretty good.
And it doesn't even tap. So if you have 8 mana, you can take 2 creatures a turn.
That's true. Get your Ashnod's Altar and get 4 of that mana back.
Oh my goodness. And then just, so it's as if each one only costs you 2.
1 in a red, yeah.
Wow.
Captivating Crew, I think, can be a really powerful card in some specific decks. Obviously, we're thinking Marquesa the Black Rose loves this card. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Lot of stuff. Captivating Crew, neat card. I love threat and effects, and it's nice that for Commander, this is something that's better than just putting in an actual like threaten card, right?
Yeah.
You'd include this every time over that, I think.
Yeah.
Next in red, we have Makeshift Munitions. This one is, like you said, a worse version of a card that exists, but I'll say why I kept it in. So it's 1 in a red for an enchantment, and you have to pay 1 generic, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Makeshift Munitions deals 1 damage to target creature or player. This card is still a good sack outlet, right? Don't forget about it just being a solid sack outlet. 1 generic is better than 1 red, which we often see in these worse than Goblin Bombardment cards, right? I can't remember the name of it. It's basically Goblin Bombardment except you pay red. Well, I run that card in my Angry Omnath, and he loves abilities like that. So the fact that now I can take that card out and put this one in instead, which can activate for now green mana as well as red, is a very big upgrade. So I'm happy to have that. Also, this guy deals with artifacts, so it's a sack outlet for artifacts, which you don't see all that often.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of red decks want artifact cards to go to the graveyard, so that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. So I think this has a space. I think you might find this in some Duretti decks. I think you might, and I think you'll find it in a couple others as well.
Great. I've come around on it. Now let's talk about Rampaging Ferocidon, 2 and a red for a 3/3 dinosaur. Menace. Players can't gain life. Whenever another creature enters a battlefield, Rampaging Ferocidon deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Well, that puts a clock on the game for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Unlike Perforos, though, this is not one. This is not one you want to run if you're running the crazy token deck.
That's true. It hurts you too.
It hurts you quite a bit.
Yeah.
But if you're facing that deck, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Definitely worth. Also, players can't gain life is more and more relevant with all these crazy Orzhov cards that are going around that do all this stuff with life and all this, right? So this just shuts off a lot of decks, which I think is worth talking about.
True.
Next, we have, I got another mythic. That's 4. Star of Extinction, 5 and 2 red for a sorcery. Destroy target land. And Star of Extinction deals 20 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Ooh, wow, 20 damage. So this is like, I love that it also destroys a land, like 1 land only. Which to me is kind of funny.
I guess that's where the meteor hits.
Yeah, that's where the meteor hits, and then it just murders everything else that's on the board.
Yeah,
that's a person. I don't know. I think this is red has a couple board wipes. Mostly they're damage based, which this one is, but it's not really because it's 20 damage and will mostly take out everything.
Is this a card that's telling us there won't be dinosaurs in the next Ixalan set?
Oh. The visions haunt me. I see the end of the world brought on by the search for the immortal sun. I think we're still going to get dinosaurs, but I think in the story they'll eventually die. Yeah.
We're never coming back to Ixalan. Like this is going to be the Ixalan's done after this.
Maybe. Oh, that's sad. I like Ixalan, even though we haven't even been there yet.
I know.
Yeah, I think this card is probably going to be worth it, especially in like mono red and red green will probably like this card, right? I
am super stoked about this card for a specific deck I have that leans on cards like Boros Reckoner, Stuffy Doll, Spite Mare. So cards that when they're dealt damage, they deal that damage to target creature or player.
Yeah.
So like drop one of these, it's like, okay, 20 damage to you. And then this creature does 20 to you also. Like, I'm very excited about this.
That's very, very good.
It's just amped up Blasphemous Act.
Yeah, it is.
Although not amped up enough for what you're getting. Like, you get 13 for Blasphemous Act for 1 red, basically.
Yeah.
You're paying a lot more for just 7 additional damage.
And destroy a land.
Okay, fine.
Which, actually is Commander relevant, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
there's stuff
that's
matters.
obviously not blow my brains out amazing, but like it's something.
Yeah.
Next in red, we've got
Okay. Next, we have Sunbird's Invocation. It's not a mythic, but I think this is my favorite card of the set. 5 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. You may cast a card revealed this way with converted mana cost X or less without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Cool. Free extra spells, probably.
Yeah. But it's that red form of impulse card draw, right? Like
Yep. But it doesn't specify instants or sorceries. It's just every spell gets another spell that's cheaper underneath it.
Yep. You have to do it in a turn, though, right?
Whenever you cast a spell from your hand.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you do have to do that. So if you like don't cast that spell, then you don't get to cast it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it stays there forever.
No.
Right,
But it's just like a free bonus. Yeah. Right. So I mean, there are instances, maybe a combat trick or something. I don't know if you're running those you wouldn't want, but like for the most part, a couple of creatures for the price of one.
It's basically red card draw, so it's nice.
Kinda, yeah.
Kind of pay a lot. You pay a lot for it, but like I think it's good. I think it's neat.
Yeah.
I'm also in. I'm in on Sunbird's Invocation.
Nice.
Next, we have Trove of Temptation. This is an interesting one. 3 and a red for an enchantment that says each opponent must attack you or a planeswalker you control with at least one creature each combat if able. And then at the beginning of your end step, you make a treasure artifact token. So yeah, this is interesting because it automatically forces people to attack you with at least one creature, which, if you build correctly, can be a very big advantage for you.
Yeah.
Right? If you are building the type of deck that wants to get attacked, obviously, or just stuff that, you can deal with creatures when it comes to combat a lot easier. If you're just got a big stompy deck that can just block anything, that's a good way to deal with like utility creatures and things like that. If they're down to only a couple and they have to attack with them. It's an interesting card. It's cool. I like it. A lot of
I already
cards,
know a couple decks this is going in.
Yeah, well, the group Thug decks, of course, are something that you're probably going to be looking at there.
I think Neheb likes this too.
Ooh, really?
All the extra ramp, right? In a mono red deck, you're getting an extra mana per turn. For that, when you decide to go off, you can just spend it all.
It seems a little slow for Neheb.
I envision it's like one of those parts where it gets you to the point where like it just gets you to that tipping point that much faster.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, I think it's a neat card, and to see it in red, it's like a goad thing, right? Like it's
Yeah. Red's got a lot of card draw now.
Yeah. Like pseudo card draw.
Pseudo, but like red's no slouch when it comes to like more cards.
White is by far the worst now, I'd say. For card draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what do we have next?
Next is a whole new color.
We're green.
Green.
Oh, we're moving along here.
Here's, I think, maybe my favorite Enrage thing. It's 2 and a green for ranging raptors. They're 2/3 dinosaur. And their Enrage trigger says, whenever they are dealt damage, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So if you have a way to control some pinging, you're just going to be able to get multiple lands out from one card.
Yeah, I think that's where this card shines and is really only playable, to be honest with you. I like the ability too, but it's a 2/3. It's just a little too small for Commander, and if you manage to get, you're probably just rather have Kadama's Reach and Cultivate and things like that over this card.
For sure.
But if you have that way to abuse it, I think this card becomes a real house. This card just becomes a monster.
Yeah.
Staff of Nin is like a pinger that's in any color, right? It's an artifact, draws you cards. I mean, something to think about if you have a deck where that's good. Ranging Raptors can be good in that as well. I don't know. There's definitely some ways you can build around it and make it good, but I think in general it's sadly not going to see. If it had imagine this was like a 2/5 or something.
Goodness.
And it would have to cost a bit more, obviously, but then we're talking that's a crazy card now.
Yeah.
Anyways, or even like a 1/4. Anyways, let's get into Ripjaw Raptor, which is another Enraged creature. So this one's pretty good too. I think this one might be a little more Commander relevant. 2 and 2 green for dinosaur. It's a 4/5, and it has a rage whenever Ripjaw Raptor is dealt damage, draw a card. Which, for the most part, in combat says it can't be blocked. Right? Unless it's going to die.
Yeah.
Right? No one's going to chump block this. They just won't, ever. But again, that pinging, if there's something pinging you can do, if there's that Riku like pinger deck that, you know, maybe this guy goes in there or something, I don't know. But Ripjaw Raptor is a good blocker for those little guys. Anyways, we'll see if he can come around and become relevant in Commander. I think there's a possibility to have a deck that does that.
He's spiked right now because people are speculating that in Standard he'll be playable. So he's already almost $10 pre-sale. So
just the body alone is pretty solid, right? 4 mana for a 4/5.
True.
That's pretty.
4 mana for a 4/5 that will eventually draw a card.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, it's an enchantment for a single green. It's called Shaper's Sanctuary. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. You know what? That's a small cost to pay to have this general effect. Against some decks, this won't be relevant, but against other decks, that's going to turn into a lot of cards drawn.
I think that this is not worth the card slot, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm on the fence because like there's some decks like, you know, think of Butler's Steal Your Stuff deck. Like everything he takes turns into another card at that point.
Yeah. There's definitely some decks where this is just, it either just stops them from doing their thing or you're going to draw a million cards. But I think in general, I don't know. I'd rather have one of the creatures that has this ability on it because then you get both things. I don't know. And even then, I don't even really include those creatures a lot. You're right, though. The attractiveness of this card is that it is just 1 green. It's an enchantment, which obviously is harder to deal with. So if you're finding that people are messing with your stuff, run a Shaper Sanctuary. But we already saw a card, right? Was it this deck or was it the last episode, where we talked about how like that ability isn't super relevant? Can't remember.
It was the Merfolk.
Right. That's what it was. It was this episode. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So like I don't know. I don't know if it's super relevant or not. I would guess no. Anyways, Shaper Sanctuary. Next we have Verdant Sun's Avatar. 5 green. It's a dinosaur avatar. It's a 5/5. And it says, whenever Verdant Sun Avatar or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. This is a good ability in Commander. This is like people build entire decks around this. Tristani has this ability on her, which is great. I think some redundancy on that is something that those decks definitely want. I think if you're just building a big, dumb creature deck, like a Mail deck or any kind of Naya style deck, this is a great include. Because sometimes you're just going to have been attacked, been taken down bit by bit by a Perforos or something like that. And this guy's just going to keep you in the game. So I actually like this card quite a bit.
I was thinking of it as a substitute Trostani, but you made me think of it in addition to Trostani, where now every creature is giving you double their toughness in life.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent.
And for those decks that don't really want a Trostani, like, or just aren't including white, like just maybe it's just a straight up Gruul deck, like this is great in those big stompy Gruul decks, those big Xeno God Gruul decks.
It is a bit overcosted for a 5/5.
Definitely is, yeah. But it's a
6
good
mana
ability.
would be great.
It really is a good ability if you're casting other big creatures. It's like, here's my 6/6, Sun Titan, and I also gain 6 life. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll take that.
Yeah. Cool. Last green card we're going to talk about here. It's called Waker of the Wilds. 2 green for a 3/3 Merfolk Shaman. X green. Put X +1/+1 counters on target land you control. That land becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. I mean, there's a way to come out of nowhere to like do a ton of damage if people aren't watching for it. I think it's very risky to just turn your lands into creatures indefinitely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it because I know that there's a couple Battle for Zendikar cards that give your land creatures trample and things like that. So I think that's where this one wants to go. But I'm not convinced. I think just this sitting on the battlefield might get ignored long enough for you to be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to make a 10-10 land and attack you with it? It's like, ooh, I didn't see that coming.
I think this is actually fairly relevant in a different way. This card also just says green, sacrifice a land. Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
because
right?
it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste, state base effects, toughness equals 0, go to the graveyard.
So you can run this in your Gitrog decks or your Titania, right?
Yeah.
Titania
Yep.
decks, things like that, right? And I think that's a pretty
Ooh.
decent ability for two green to just bin a land is pretty sweet.
Thinking outside the box, Andy Hull.
Yeah, that's right. So I only just thought of that because when I saw this, I was like, I don't think you're ever going to want this card. This card's not great. I think it's a very specific deck that wants this. But actually, you know what? Those land decks probably would like this card. It doesn't say X can't equal 0, right? So there you go. Let's get on to the multicolored creatures. So far, green and red had some good stuff. Hey, like usually red is kind of the dud of the commander colors, but in this one, I'd almost argue it had some of the best stuff.
Yeah.
Captivating
Agreed.
Crew was really cool.
Sunbird's Invocation.
I think Star of Extinction is decent, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, green's cool too, though. Anyways, let's take a look at multis. Here's a big Selesnya dinosaur, Belligerent Brontodon. 5 green-white for creature dinosaur. It's a 4/6. So 4/6 for 7 is a lot. Isn't a lot to get for your 7 mana. But each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So speaking of redundant on existing commanders, as we were talking about with Verdant Sun's avatar being Tristani, Belligerent Brontodon is Doran, Siege Tower's ability, right? Which is a fun ability to play within Commander, and I think that redundancy is going to be great for Doran players. Yeah, I think this card is interesting. I don't know.
It is interesting. The Brontodon is for sure a bully, though.
Yeah, he is bullying that little dinosaur.
He's demanding that he give him his lunch money.
Yeah, he is. It says predators try to separate the young, old, or injured from the rest of the herd. The alternative is crushing defeat. But he's a predator? He looks like a big plant eater.
Yeah.
What's he doing? He's just messing with that guy, that little guy.
He's just bullying him.
Yeah, he's just saying, hey, you know what? Stop hitting yourself. Stop
Hey,
hitting yourself.
are you new to the Velt?
Yeah, well, guess what? I'm top dog around here. Give me your lunch money. I'm going to be eating today, and you'll never eat again.
Crushing defeat.
Crushing defeat for you. Also, I'm going to hit you with my butt instead of my head.
Yeah.
I think this card's going to be specific, and I think that's kind of it.
Yes!
Whoa! Yep. Someone just followed us on Twitch. Right in the middle of the show.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Neat.
I forgot that.
I didn't realize that could happen.
Still
of course
does
it could
that.
happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Great. Next multicolored card, Deadeye Plunderers. Very excited for this one. 3 blue-black for a human pirate 3/3. Deadeye Plunderers gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. That's already very significant in a lot of decks. Silas Wren likes those colors, for example. But here's the coolest part. 2 blue-black create. Oh, wait a second. You know what? I think I'm crossing this with Hostage Taker, but it gets huge in an artifact deck, and the ability to make treasure is neat.
Yeah,
this is the only card that can just at instant speed, unlimited times, as long as you have the mana, can just create treasure.
Yeah, and obviously that makes it one bigger when you do that. And if we're talking about this sort of black-blue artifact deck, which is coming into existence with Silas Wren, obviously this can go in a lot of Esper decks. I think this is actually kind of a force to be reckoned with in those decks.
Agreed.
This can be huge, and it's
Breya likes this card.
Yeah, and it's making mana too, right? For you to sacrifice with Breya. Oh, I think this can be a real powerhouse.
Yeah.
Sean already mentioned it. Here it is though. Hostage Taker. 2 blue-black for a human pirate creature. She's a 2/3. When Hostage Taker enters the battlefield, exile target artifact or creature until Hostage Taker leaves the battlefield. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast that spell. So it's a classic Fiend Hunter style ability, except that now you can cast the creature. You can give the creature you take hostage Stockholm Syndrome and have it fight for you. This is very fun and very cool and very flavorful. I think this is one of my favorite cards in the whole set.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
We've seen it in action if you've watched the arena intro video that had Gabby Hoffman playing against.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, Jimmy's video there. It was like a beast in that kind of little constructed match. It's going to be a beast in limited. It's going to be good in Commander. This is a relevant card. This is a good card.
Yep.
Like just being able to take their commander and do it. Oh wait, you can't do that. No, you won't be able to take their commander because it exiles. Might be. But just being able to take their best creature, one of the best creatures on the battlefield, you're gonna be able to take and just cast. So fun, love it.
Yeah, if you got enough mana, you could do it all at once.
Yep. Which is probably what you should aim to do.
Definitely.
Right? Because
definitely,
you don't want to just leave this open to just then have killed and then they just get it back. So hopefully you can do it all in one turn.
Cool.
Those are the multicolored cards. Only a couple there.
Yeah.
They're mostly limited strategies in this set for the multicolored guys, I would argue, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's go into lands. Not a lot of lands that aren't rare. Like there are no lands that aren't rare that are really extra special or whatever. But we do get the check lands back again. These are excellent commander cards because they call them check lands because they check to see if you have a swamp or mountain, for example. And if you do, it comes into play untapped, and you get to add black or red to your mana pool. This is Dragon Skull Summit as an example. There's all the allied color pairs of these. They usually come into play untapped in your commander deck, and we love those. They were creeping up in price, and whenever these come out new in a set, they usually drop in price. So good, great. Let's make them cheaper for us.
And they're generally available for around $2. I would assume we're going to see that even go farther down. You'd probably be able to grab these for a little over $1, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, unless standard, unless people scoop them, hard to tell.
They'll be used in standard, and that's what's going to keep them over that. I think $1.50-ish. I think that's where you're going to be able to find these. About
a lot of people also already have their play sets, so they don't. Standard players don't care about getting new ones. Yeah,
that's true. And of course, we already talked about a lot of the legendary lands off the top of the show that the enchantments and stuff turn into.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the big flashy cards that aren't necessarily even that good for Commander, but we love them just the same. Let's talk about the Planeswalkers. Not that many in this set. Just the 3 that we can open from packs, and of course we got the pre-con commanders that are somewhat even more relevant for Commander. But so the first one we'll talk about here is Jace Cunning Castaway. This one you can open in your... These next 3 you can open in your normal Ixalan packs. So this one is 1 and 2 blue for a 3 loyalty. Legendary Planeswalker Jace. That's a big change to Planeswalkers. The Planeswalker rule, you've probably already heard about it. If you haven't, though, all Planeswalkers are now oracled to be legendary Planeswalkers, and the legendary rule applies to them. It's no longer the Planeswalker, uniqueness rule or whatever it was.
Yeah. So it used to I don't like it.
No, I think it makes sense because the legendary it just lines everything up to be the same, right? Like I get that. Right? Like I can have Rakdos. I can have big Rakdos, you can have little Rakdos. Like that also doesn't make that much sense, but if that's the way the rules are going to be, it probably should work the same way as the Jace. Or I can have both Rakdoses on my board. That's actually more relevant. I can have both Rakdoses. Whereas before I could have Jace Cunning Castaway, but then if I cast like Jace the Mindseeker, I'd have to sacrifice one of them. I couldn't have both Jaces because they're 2 Jace. Whereas now they're just legendary, so as long as they don't have the same name, you can have both of them active at the same time.
Yep.
And you can kind of look at it as like, I have Jace, he's here. I'm just now letting him know about his other abilities that he has, right? Like, remember when you were a Castaway Jace and you could do all this stuff? And he's like, oh yeah, I don't just make people draw cards anymore. Now I can, now I can do these things. He has 3 loyalty and he has a +1, which says whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player this turn, draw a card, then discard a card. So it gives everyone looting if they hit. -2 is
just 1. one loot.
Oh, it is just one loot. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, one or more creatures. No, that's a bummer. But I guess that would be pretty powerful if it was just that. So, anyways, that's so you get to loot. -2, create a 2/2 blue illusion creature token with when this creature becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it. Important to note that abilities will not kill this illusion, even though mostly when this ability is on an illusion creature, it's spell or ability. Do you think that that's just because they didn't have enough room to print that in the box?
No, I think because there's a lot of abilities that are too easy to activate, and they want you to work a little bit harder to get rid of them.
Okay. And then, of course, the ultimate is -5. Create 2 tokens that are copies of Jace, Cunning, Castaway, except they're not legendary. So just to drive home the new legendary rule, they show you that you can have more of these, just that they take away the legendary rule and you can have them, basically.
I think this design is why they invented the new rule. They're like, hey, could we do this with Jace? And they're like, well, we'd have to change the rule. Yeah, okay.
It's like, well, it kind of makes sense to change the rule, so let's do it.
Yeah. Would you run it in Commander?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't want 2 copies of this guy. I don't care that it makes 2/2 blue illusions.
Yeah.
No big.
I don't care that it loots. Who cares? The one loot, that's nothing. Yeah, and exactly. The ultimate's not even really worth anything.
Next up, the planeswalker from this plane, Huatli, Warrior Poet, 3 red white for a legendary planeswalker, Huatli. So it starts with 3 loyalty. You got a +2. You gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Isolated life gain's not that important, not that impressive. 0 loyalty. Create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. That's not too bad. A 3/3 body, that's decent.
Solid, yeah.
And then -X. Huatli Warrior Poet deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Creatures dealt damage this way can't block this turn. So, this is very Boros Commander, right? It gets to make tramplers. If you need to gain some emergency life, that's fine. When you can, for a minus ability, you can, I would imagine, get rid of all the loyalty and just make every creature on the opposing side not be able to block.
I find this very strange because the +2 is a white ability, the -X is a red ability, and then the middle one is a green ability that even says green in it. It makes a green dinosaur. Did they originally make this a Naya thing? Did they say
it must be a throwback to the Naya dinosaur commander?
Of course, right? But it's so bizarre to me that green isn't included. You could even argue that first ability is a very green ability because life gain based on power is a green thing.
True.
Interesting. Would you run this in Commander?
I don't think so. I don't really. If I was strictly a Boros attacking deck, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think it's all that good. The -X is nice because you're not it's not going to draw so much hate because that -X is just kind of a so-so quote ultimate. Even though you probably wouldn't even use it as an ultimate. You would just use it as -4. These 4 guys can't block.
Yeah.
Get in for a bunch of damage or something, right? I don't know. But I Planeswalkers come with initial hate anyway, so people are just going to attack this and kill it, even though it's not that scary. So I don't think you're going to.
Yeah. I
don't think it's all that good. Well, let's see. Maybe our third Planeswalker in the actual set will give us something a little better. Okay. We got Vraska, Relic Seeker. She's the face of the set. Vraska, 4 black, green, legendary Planeswalker Vraska. She's a 6 loyalty commander. So this looks like, not commander, Planeswalker. She starts off with a +2, create a 2/2 black pirate creature token with menace.
That's great.
Okay.
Plus abilities to create a creature, protects the Planeswalker. We love that.
-3, destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment. Create a colorless treasure artifact token with, of course, all the stuff. So tap it and add any color. So you -3, kill something, and get a mana for it. That's pretty good. And then her -10 is her ultimate, and it says target player's life total becomes 1.
Wow.
So on the 3rd turn with Vraska, you can do that.
Yep. I mean, first turn if you have doubling season out.
Of course, we always have to mention doubling season because it's very possible.
A lot of it seems like they've been trying to design commanders to not go ultimate off of one doubling season,
Yes.
but unfortunately, I don't think they care about this.
Yeah, I agree. I think Vraska's decent. Vraska's okay. I think the original Vraska is arguably better just because it destroys I think it's any non-land permanent is the one that she gets. Whereas this, it's artifact creature enchantment, which is basically any non-land permanent, but
Except other planeswalkers.
yeah. I like it though. I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's for sure runnable.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to synergize with anything in particularly amazing, but it's 6 mana for a good removal spell. And if they don't deal with it, you got another removal spell, and you're just going to create little tokens that chump block. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it is a bit strange to me that they decided Grixis were the pirate colors, and then they put the pirate planeswalker who makes pirates in green and black, which obviously
so weird.
Vraska always was green and black, but like, I don't know. What?
Maybe she's just like, you know what? Pirate's life for me. Yo ho, yo ho.
Yeah, I bet you she did say that. Yo ho, and a bottle of rum, right? What is it? 16 men on it. Is it 16 men?
I don't know.
15 something on it. Men on a dead man's chest. Yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. That's the song.
Yo ho. I'm thinking of the one from Pirates of the Caribbean, The Ride.
Oh, I'm thinking of the one from Tiny Toons. I remember when the octopuses were all the pirates and they yo ho ho ho,
yep.
yo ho ho
yep.
ho, yo ho ho ho, yo ho ho ho. That's where most of my pirate reference comes from, is that one episode of Tiny Toons.
Nice.
Let's get to the planeswalkers that come in the pre-constructed deck things.
Yeah. So in past sets, the ones that come in the pre-con decks are usually better suited to commander players than the ones in the packs, which is actually perfect design for the way it works.
Yeah.
So Jace, Ingenious Mind Mage, 4 blue for a 5 loyalty planeswalker, +1, draw a card. Simple. +1, also untap all creatures you control. You know what? In the right deck, that can be astoundingly powerful.
Yes, it can.
-9, gain control of up to 3 target creatures. Well, boy howdy, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's not a game-winning ultimate, which is what you like to see. But
it's great for Commander.
And it's going to take a while to get there. You know, Jace only pluses 1, and he starts at 5. So that's 4 turns away, right?
Sure.
No, 5 turns away at least.
Let's be real. It's good. He's going in Atraxa decks all over the place.
Yeah.
This is 2 turns.
But I think you're right, though. This is more relevant for Commander, and it costs 6 mana.
Yeah.
But his abilities are better.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. Next, and the other one is Huatli, Dinosaur Knight. So they went with Huatli over another Vraska, which I was also kind of disappointed in.
Got to get them Huatlis out there.
Yeah, Huatli's this Huatli is 4 red white. Legendary Planeswalker Huatli starts with 4 loyalty. She has a +2. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target dinosaur you control. So you have to have dinosaurs for that to work. -3, target dinosaur you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So again with the dinosaurs. And then -7, dinosaurs you control get +4/+4 until end of turn. So, I mean...
Well, okay.
Yes, right? You have to be running a dinosaur tribal deck for this card to be anything. Right. So...
If you do not have dinosaurs, it does stone nothing.
Stone nothing, yeah. That is true. So it basically will do stone nothing until someone builds that deck, and then in only that deck, and it's great. So this Planeswalker will never be over $2 because there's nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's ever going to want this card except for 10 people who build a dinosaur deck.
Yeah.
So cool. There you go, dinosaur deck. You get your very own Planeswalker, which is nice.
There you go.
There you
go.
So that's it. Those are the cards. Oh man.
Wow.
We did it.
We did it.
I'm in this room where I had to keep the door closed outside and the sun is beaming in and it's so hot. I'm just sitting here sweating.
Yeah.
It's like a sauna in here. Sarah just came in and opened the door and it was like a crazy breath of fresh air came in and it was like, oh. So I'm going to be happy
I've been closed in this office a while.
Yeah, I'm happy we're shutting her down for this for another one here, but it was good. It's fun. I'm excited about the deck for both Commander and Draft. We probably say that every time, but like I think we say that because generally Wizards is doing a pretty good job with printing relevant Commander stuff for us.
Thumbs up, Wizards. You're crushing it. Keep it up.
I'd say otherwise if I thought otherwise. I really would.
Yep.
But I think there's some decent stuff here.
Yeah, I think the dinosaur deck, although we've kind of been making fun of it and whatever, because, you know, we've played a lot of decks, we've brewed a lot of decks. I think the existence of a dinosaur deck will draw in a lot of younger players to our format.
I think that's true.
I think that is going to be crack cocaine for 10-year-olds.
You're right.
They were like, yo, you want to play Commander? How about a whole deck of dinosaurs? Oh, it's like, yeah, right. So like, you know, bring on future Magic players. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Parents trying to get your young ones into Magic, just be like, hey, my little kid, don't you like dinosaurs? And every kid does. So bam, they're in.
Yeah, man. The only more appealing Commander deck is if they ever make a set that's all trucks. If it's just like dump trucks tribal.
yeah, that's right. Talking cars tribal.
Yeah, right. They go to the plane of like Thomas the Tank Engine or something.
Or like Paw Patrol. I don't know what that is.
Oh, man.
A deck of animals that have jobs. That's
well, but it's all Hasbro, right? So what if they actually went to Transformers plane and was just like actual Transformers in there?
There is that. There are those cards from HasCon.
There's a Grimlock.
Yeah, there is a Grimlock card.
Is he a dinosaur?
Oh my God, he must be. He must be.
I gotta look him up. Is his name Grimlock?
I believe it is. Yeah.
Does it appear on? I don't know if it appears on Scryfall.
No, it won't be on Scryfall because it's not. Yeah. Just type in Grimlock MTG card. I'm sure it'll come.
HasCon MTG promos.
I got it. Here it is. Legendary artifact creature Autobot. Oh no.
Shut up. Maybe it's gonna be retcon though.
Or yeah. Oh man. No.
What a disappointment. If it's not a dinosaur.
Someone made something he flips into.
Oh, I think that's his thing. I think he does flip.
Oh, he does flip. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I've never seen the flip side of him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, when he flips, he's a dinosaur though.
Oh, cool.
Trample
of course,
to convert
because he's not a dinosaur when he's a robot. He's a robot in disguise.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Neat. So there you go. Use your Grimlock. And what colors is a Grimlock?
Yeah,
he's the dinosaur colors they made it, so it makes sense.
Yes, he could be your commander.
Good luck getting a Grimlock Magic card, though. I bet it costs quite a bit to get them from that HasCon promo.
I bet they do.
Okay, I've got to go because I'm going to pass out otherwise. So,
yeah.
But thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with a regular episode. And until then, enjoy Ixalan. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.